Down there you cannot see it. A few hundred meters below me is Camp 3. And here on the right side, maybe you can see on the rocks, Camp 2. Above me, this is Everest. And what you can see here is the yellow band. People coming down. And I'm moving down as well for acclimatization. The air is dry. Sleeping in Camp 4 was intense. I need to go down to Camp 2 and regenerate.
Hey guys, thank you for tuning in. It's Nordine here again. Today I want to continue with the story of how I became a mountaineer. In the 2 previous episodes I told you how I climbed my very first mountain and how I got to experience the mountains the very first time in my life when I was I don't know, 23, 24, I don't remember anymore exactly. And yeah, in the second episode I told you and took you guys with me on a journey of how I climbed my first solo mountain in the German Alps, in the Bavarian Alps, and how I managed to climb Zugspitze for the very first time all by myself, and eventually, or actually did my first solo mountain. And yeah, after that experience, my first solo mountain in the Bavarian Alps at Zugspitze with 2,990 meters or something, I was standing on the top of Zugspitze on the summit. I was looking over to Austria and I was seeing higher mountains and higher summits, higher peaks with snow caps. And I saw documentaries and videos and pictures and reports of higher mountains, of 4,000 mountains with ice and glaciers and snow. And I saw people walking tied up to a rope, climbing over crevasses, using crampons, using ice axes, and actually being in the ice and snow and the mixed rock ice terrain. And when I was standing on Zugspitze, and already before I think, but also afterwards, I realized, man, I really I like this mountaineering thing. It's giving me so much. I explained that in the last video, how happy and fulfilled I was and how I was able to connect to myself and how calm and peaceful and completely happy, lucky and satisfied I felt when I was in the mountains. And yeah, I just wanted to explore more of that and wanted to climb even higher mountains and see even more what's possible, what I can do, what I'm capable of, and how much more I could probably suffer as well. And maybe I also wanted to figure out what I'm made of. In German we say das Holz, aus dem wir gemacht sind. Yeah, actually to figure out what we're made of. Yeah, that's I think what I also wanted to figure out. There were several reasons and a lot of emotions why I wanted to be in the mountains, and I couldn't really figure them out yet. The only thing I knew was I wanted to be in the mountains, and there was an urge, a call, a desire to be in the mountains, to climb higher, to climb more remote, to be more exposed, to test myself even more and figure out what I can do. So the obvious next step for me was, I wasn't much of a climbing guy, but more of a I could figure out that I enjoyed scrambling, I enjoyed climbing, but I knew that if I wanted to climb vertical walls and if I want to do higher grade climbing, I definitely need a climbing buddy I can go with, and we have to develop and scale up together. And I just did not see that happening since I didn't have the the time, the money, or the friends to do that. So even though I enjoyed climbing and scrambling, and also thought about climbing in the walls, like rock climbing and bouldering and stuff like that, I did that and I enjoyed that. But I always felt that I wanted to be in the high mountains, in the ice, in the snow, and I was looking at those super high summits and peaks. I wanted to climb these mountains for some reason, and this just burned into my mind, into my desire, and I couldn't forget about these mountains, and I always had thoughts and ideas and I was envisioning myself being on these high mountains in the ice. So yeah. After Zugspitze, when I came back, I was still a student. I was studying management after I broke up with I quit my electrical engineering. And as a student, I was constantly broke. I don't know how it is in other parts of the world, but if you're not born rich and if you're a student in Germany, you're just basically broke all the time. And that was also just my status. I was broke all the time, and I couldn't really afford much of a good gear, and going on expeditions and travel anywhere with a big budget. I had to find a way and manage to go on expeditions, to go on higher mountains, to learn the skills and to get the equipment with a low budget. And during that time, while I was studying, I was also working in, well, you could call it construction, but it was not conventional construction like house building. It was more like trade fairs and exhibition construction. That is what I did. Eventually, I did every kind of job, that was offered to me. If it was carrying doors into a hospital, if it was building in homes, stuff like that. I accepted almost every job I could get my hands on, but the main source of income would probably be the construction in trade fairs and exhibition. It was quite nice. I was kind of self-employed, or a subcontractor, I guess you could say, and I was earning quite well as a student. I was earning 25 euros an hour, and in trade fairs and exhibition construction, you never work less than 10 hours a day, usually more like 12, 13, 14, 15, even 16 hours a day. And that was quite good money during that time as a student, and that way I was able to at least gather a little bit of money and buy some equipment and buy a flight to other parts of the world. So I was at home after Zugspitze, and I was researching, okay, which would be the next highest mountain, which would be a doable 4,000er mountain in close proximity that I could reach and that I could possibly climb. I think it was July, August, something like that, and I was running out of time, and I still wanted to climb a 4,000er within that year, but I couldn't manage to do that in the summer anymore. I knew that. So, and because of the university and semester holidays and so on, I realized now it's probably not going to be possible to climb a 4,000er this summer or this autumn. So I was looking for possible 4,000ers I could climb during the winter time. So naturally, you would think, okay, I'm in Germany, in southern Germany. The Alps are super close by. You could probably climb in an easy 4,000er in the Alps. But considering the fact that I was not ready yet, I didn't have the skills yet, I needed to learn more mountaineering skills for the ice, for the snow. I never used a ice axe in my life. I never used crampons. I didn't know how to tie to a rope, how to do a knot, use a harness or anything. I did not know anything. I just climbed my first mountain solo, and that was in the Bavarian Alps, was nothing big. So I was still a complete greenhorn and not knowing what I was doing. So yeah, I was really trying to figure out what I could do, but I did not dare to go to the Alps already and climb 4,000ers in the Alps because they have real crevasses and avalanches, and I had too much respect to go to the Alps in winter, and I did not dare to do that. So I found a 4,000er or a 4,000er mountain range quite close or nearby in Morocco, the High Atlas. You have to imagine I'm on Google Earth, and I was rotating the globe all around Europe and Northern Africa and the Caucasus, and I was looking for a doable mountain that I could possibly climb with my limited skill, me being a complete beginner, and I wanted to find some kind of 4,000 that I could climb with my skills. So eventually I found the High Atlas mountain range in Morocco. There is the Toubkal with hold on, I don't know how high the Toubkal actually is. Is it 4,100 meters, something like that? I'll write it in the screen. But yeah, that was the closest and the most doable 4,000er with my limited skills and resources that I could do, probably this winter. So I thought, okay, that's a great idea. I'll do that. But I knew I had to learn so much more. I thought, okay, this is a new level. I will be going solo again. Obviously, I will leave the country. I will be completely by myself, completely alone in a foreign country, not knowing the language. Not knowing the infrastructure and the whole system around there, and that would be my first little expedition, you could say. And I found that little goal, that little mountain, or not little mountain, that mountain, and yeah, I was determined to do that. So I knew that Morocco usually has a very warm and moderate climate, but then again, a 4,000er, that's quite high, and it could probably be very cold. So I did some research again on Hiker, and I found out that during the winter time, and I would be going there in the end of November, December, that would be the time when I would be there. I figured out, okay, there's a lot of rain or, up there, snowfall, so there can be quite some snow up there. So I figured out, okay, I will have to deal with the element of snow. Maybe not ice, but I'll definitely have to deal with the snow up there eventually, depending on the weather. So I didn't want to underestimate the mountains and the danger there was. So I decided to look for a glacier course. I wanted to learn everything about how to use crampons. I wanted to learn how to use an ice axe, how to get out of a crevasse, how to do, I don't know, how to manage and deal with emergency situations, how to interpret the avalanche risk and weather risk, and I just wanted to learn the necessary skills for the ice, for the snow, and for 4,000 mountain climbing, and that was the next thing to do. So I had a German Alpine Club membership, or I think I signed up for a German Alpine Club membership in Nuremberg, where I was living, the section Nuremberg. And I was asking if I could lend and borrow materials there, like, I don't know, harness, helmet, ice axes, ice screws, and so on. And if they have some kind of glacier course where I could learn the basic skills of how to move in snow and ice. And it turned out that there was actually a course offered, a basic glacier course for beginners. That would take place in Switzerland, and I thought, okay, great. I think, I don't know if I remember it correctly, but I think in August there was the glacier course in August. So yeah, I signed up for that glacier course, and I was super excited and hyped to learn the basic mountaineering skills for that element. I don't remember. I think I did not have my own equipment yet. Yeah, I signed up for the course. It was in Switzerland at the Motteresch Glacier. It's I think the biggest glacier in Switzerland, and yeah, as you can imagine, Switzerland is quite expensive. The glacier course was also, I think, around about, was it 320, 350 euros? All the equipment, I didn't have an ice axe and crampons yet. So yeah, that was quite expensive. But with the little money I made from working in construction, I was able to pay the glacier course. And I think I even bought an ice axe. But I think I haven't bought... I don't remember, honestly, if I had my own crampons, if I bought new crampons, or if I was borrowing crampons from the German Alpine Club. But yeah, I got all the equipment I needed. I signed up and I got into the car. I took some other course members with me in my car, in my Ford Focus. And yeah, we drove down to Switzerland. We arrived in Switzerland near the Motteresch Glacier. We distributed all the equipment that needed to be carried up there to the hut. You should know, or if you're not from an alpine region, the German, the French, the Switzerland, the Austrian and Italian Alps, they are... The infrastructure there is so good. You basically have a hut from an alpine club, maybe the Switzerland Alpine Club or French Alpine Club. The infrastructure in the Alps is very, very good, and you have huts almost everywhere. And every summit has been reached. There are several routes on the summit. All the routes are marked. So yeah, the Alps are great. And there are so many routes, there's so much infrastructure. For a beginner, that's great. If you're looking for a remote experience, you can still have that in the Alps too, but in general, there's a lot of people in the Alps, and a lot of the paths and courses and routes have been explored already and are quite good marked, and yeah, and the hut infrastructure is just very, very good in the Alps, all over the Alps. It's a little bit less in Slovenia, but still good enough. So yeah, we ended up at the Motteresch Glacier in Switzerland, distributed all the equipment, we carried it up to the hut, and I think we would be up there. We would spend 3 nights up there at the hut. I think it was about 2,500 meters of altitude. It was above the Motteresch Glacier, but I don't remember at which altitude it was. So yeah, that was the perfect training ground, so to speak, because we had the glacier nearby, we had the snow nearby, we had the rocks, we had the hut, we had everything. We could acclimatize there, get used to the height, and we had also we went out during the day and we learned all the skills necessary. We learned how to put on crampons. We learned how to walk with an ice axe, how to use an ice axe, how to climb up steep ice faces and walls with the ice axe, with the crampons, and how to do it. We learned how to cross a glacier, how to navigate through a glacier, and how to rope up, how to be roped up with a long rope, with a shorter rope, how to rescue someone from a crevasse, how to pushing up your rope when you fell into a crevasse. We did it with 3 people on a rope, 4 people on a rope, 5 people on a rope. So it was just quite intense. 3 days of learning the skills in the ice, and we had the Motteresch Glacier there, and we could simulate like every situation. You know, we were all tied up with a rope together, and one of us was jumping into the crevasse. and the other three could really feel the impact, how intense the feeling is, and how hard and how crazy the impact is if one of your members actually falls into a crevasse. It's insane. I think if that happens to you the first time, you completely underestimate it, and you're completely in shock how much of a force and how much of an impact there is to the rope you're tied to your member. And that was super surprising, and I was so glad that I did this course, because I was learning all the necessary skills, and we were training all the eventualities and the emergencies in a controlled environment. And that was just an awesome experience, and it helped me so much. And I could really get a feeling for how dangerous everything actually is, and how hard and seemingly almost impossible. If you're in a tied to a rope, only 2 or 3 people, if one of you is falling like into a crevasse, it's so hard actually to get that person out safely. And that was a quite shocking moment actually, to see how hard it is to get someone out of a crevasse. It's a lot of hard work, and if you're only 2 people on a rope, the 2 people being on a rope and one of them falling into a crevasse, they really need to know what they're doing, and they have to be almost professionals in order to get the other one out of the crevasse. And if one of those 2 is unconscious, there's almost like no chance, I feel like, getting the other one out. So that was quite a serious realization of how reality actually is, and how serious it is when you move in the ice and move or cross a glacier together as a team. So we learned all these things. And as a final tour, what we did is we did a final tour, and then we got to use all the skills. The next closest mountain to our hut was, I think it was called Piz Bernina. It was 3,700 something meters high, and we would be 2 groups tied together, 4 people each to a rope, and we would walk up the glacier. We would learn how to rope up. We would use our crampons and ice axe, and then we would walk up the glacier to the summit. And eventually we were sitting together, standing on the summit of Piz Bernina. And we had a great day, and we got to use all our skills and actually put what we just learned into practice, and it was just a great experience. And I'm so happy I did that, and I can only recommend to everyone that is attempting or planning to go into higher altitude mountaineering and wants to go on the ice, on snow, and just to take a glacier course like I did and learn the basic skills. So on the way down, also it was a very steep rock face actually to climb up. Climbing up is usually easier, I feel like, than climbing down. And in order to save some time, we upsiled down the rock face. That was also quite nice. We learned how to upsile for the first time, how to use a figure 8 upsile or a tuber, and it was just great. We learned all these skills in these 3-4 days, and I was so happy. I finally was surrounded with people that were also excited about mountaineering, and that also wanted to learn the skills for mountaineering. And there were actually people that could teach me. And I was soaking in everything like a sponge, and I tried to gather and collect all the knowledge and skills I could get in order to develop, to progress, to become a better and tougher mountaineer. So this glacier course was just great. So I still remember as if it was yesterday. It was the end of November. I think it was it the 27th or the 28th of November 2014. It was the last day of build up for the expedition in Nuremberg. It was the SPS Expedition, the last fair event this year. I was standing on a 5-meter ladder. I was adjusting the last lights, the final adjustments before the show could start. And I knew, okay, I just fixed, attached, and adjusted the final light. The contractor, my boss, we finished everything, and I remember I stepped down the steps. I hit the ground, and I knew, okay, the job is done, work is finished. I just spent a lot of hours during this build-up. I was able to, invoice the work that I just did to my contractor. I would have enough money in the bank to go traveling, to go to Morocco for 4 weeks. And I was so hyped. My flight was booked. I would fly the next day, the next morning. And I just finished work. I finished everything. And I was so happy. And I remember I drove home. I think I still had to pack my rucksack, all my equipment. I bought a map. I bought a tent. I bought, as I said, the ice axe, the crampons, all my new equipment, my rucksack, a new jacket, everything that I had. And I would go on my very, very, very first own little solo expedition in Morocco, in North Africa, to the high Atlas Mountains. And I just couldn't wait. So the next day, everything was ready. My older brother and my older sister, they brought me to the airport, to Nuremberg. And they said goodbye. And that was actually also the first time when they said goodbye to me, and when I realized that my hobby is actually dangerous. Something could happen to me, and a goodbye could be a final goodbye. I remember my brother and my sister, they were worried about me, and my sister was even crying because she was telling to my brother, just imagine, this could be the last time we see him, and maybe he's not coming back. That was what they were thinking about. And at that age, or at that time, I didn't want to hear that, and I thought, nah, everything is fine, don't worry, nothing will happen. What could happen to me? But that was the very first time in my life I was confronted with the fact that people or my family is worrying about me. They are afraid that something could happen to me in the mountains, and that they are in fear when I go to the mountains solo. But at that time I was still very, very ignorant, and I didn't want to know anything about that. And I was in that mindset that this is all my decision, it's my life, and I'm not responsible to anyone, and I can do whatever I want. And I really didn't take that serious back then, to be completely honest with you, but that would change. But I'll talk about that more in another episode. So they brought me to the airport. I had everything with me, and they said farewell to me. I remember I had my laptop with me. I put up my laptop. I think I finished the invoice I just did from the construction job I just finished, and I sent it to my contractor so they would send the money to me as soon as possible, because I was completely broke. I was so young. I was very bad at managing money. I was always broke. I told you, with the car and buying the new equipment, equipment, and I was just barely able to afford the flight. And I was really like living from paycheck to paycheck, or from invoice to invoice. And also you have to pay taxes on everything that you do, obviously, on every invoice that you send to your contractor. And I was super bad at managing these things. And the how do you call it, Finanzamt, the Bureau of Finances was completely always annoying me with, Nordin, you have to pay your value-added tax or whatever it is. And it was a complete mess, and I was a complete moron. I didn't know how to organize myself. I was so young still, and I was a completely chaotic guy, and I was really like living from week to week, and I was always broke, like constantly. And also my account, my bank account was like completely empty. I was just able to afford the flight and the equipment, and that was about it. I was completely broke, and I was relying on the money on the invoice that I sent to my contractor, and I was hoping that they would not take too much time, and that they would transfer the money of my job as soon as possible. I think I even called the wife of my boss / contractor, and I told her, hey man, I'm really short on money. Could you maybe make a little exception and transfer the money as soon as possible, if everything is ready? And she said, yeah, it's okay. So yeah, that was just me at that time. Okay, I stepped on the plane. Of course, security had to pull me out because there was an ice axe and stuff like that in my equipment, in my luggage, and they wanted to see what I'm actually doing there, and they wanted to see my equipment. And I told them, hey guys, I'm going mountaineering, and this is an ice axe and crampons, and I need this stuff for the snow and the ice. And they said, okay, have fun, enjoy. So yeah, I took the flight to Casablanca, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it was the flight to Casablanca. I landed in Casablanca, and yeah, I just ended up there, and I was checking my bank account. I still had no money on my account, and I knew, okay, they would at least take 1 or 2 days. I was completely broke, and I don't know why I didn't ask my brother or my sister for money. I think I was so embarrassed to ask them for money, and I wanted to manage these things on my own. But I just remember I landed in Casablanca, and I had no money at all. I was I had not a single euro or dollar to my name at that time, but I just stepped on the plane, and flew to Morocco, and not knowing what's gonna happen there. So I got my luggage, and then I was standing in front of the airport of Casablanca, and I knew I needed to somehow get south. I don't know how far it is, 300, 400 kilometers to Marakesh. And from Marakesh, I could then figure out a way how to go to the mountains, how to get to the high Atlas. There's a little town called Imlil, and that was the center from where I could start my climb. And yeah, I had to figure out a way how to get there. So since I did not have any money, no cash at all, it was just me and my huge rucksack with all my mountaineering equipment. And I was just standing in front of the airport of Casablanca. And I thought, okay, let's probably just keep walking along the road, along the street, and maybe hitchhike down to Marrakesh and see how it's going. So that's actually what I ended up doing. I just went out of the airport, and I was walking along the street. And eventually, I think after an hour and a half, I managed to get to the highway, to the how to say, yeah, highway, I think, I guess is correct. I was completely, well, not exhausted, but I was, I was tired. My rucksack was heavy, and yeah, I had to walk all the way because I was a stupid moron. Did not have any money, and I was, yeah, just trying to figure out a way. I knew that money would be coming soon, because I sent the invoice to my contractor, but I don't know how long it would take, and the weekend was coming up. So, well, yeah, I ended up at the highway on the way to Marakesh. And yeah, I was just standing at the highway, at the road, and hitchhiking, and trying to find someone to take me with them. So eventually, a Moroccan family, a guy and his mother, and I think his sister, they stopped. They asked me, "Hey, man, what are you doing here?" And I told them, "Hey, guys, I need to go to Marakesh somehow. Where are you going? Can you take me with you?" And they said, "Yeah, look, we are driving. We are not driving completely to Marakesh, but we are at least driving in that direction for about maybe 100 kilometers. So yeah, we could just take you with us for that way." And I said, "Okay, sure. I'll take whatever I can get." So yeah. We ended up driving down the road, and yeah, they wanted to know more about me, about my story, what I'm doing alone here in Morocco, and why I look so Arabic. They thought, they asked me, "Are you from Morocco?" And I explained them, "No, I'm from Germany actually, but my father is from Algeria, so that's the reason why I look Arabic." So yeah, that's because they thought, I'm yeah, probably Moroccan, and they were surprised I don't speak any French or Arabic. And yeah, I said, no, I don't speak the language at all. I was born and raised in Germany, and I have no connections to Algeria or Morocco whatsoever. And they also, I told them that my name is Nordin, and Nordin is just like the German or English spelling, but the name actually is called Nureddin, and Nureddin is is an Arabic name. It has the meaning, the light of religion. That's the meaning of my name. Maybe you heard of the legendary football player Zinedine Zidane. He is also from Algeria, even though he was playing for the French national team. But Zinedine stands for like the golden religion or the golden belief, and Nureddin is like the shimmering or the light of religion or belief, however you want to interpret it. So yeah, these are my roots, and these people thought that I just someone from Morocco, and they were kind of surprised to figure out and hear that I'm from Germany and that I have an Arabic name and that my roots are in Algeria. So yeah, and yeah, we just had a great conversation during the ride, during that 1 hour, and yeah. So after 1 hour, and they dropped me at the road. They said, "Hey, we need to drive to the next town here now, but stay on this road and you will eventually get to Marakesh if someone else is gonna pick you up." So what they also did, I'm the one from Germany. I should be the one, that is actually wealthier than them. But what they actually did is the mother of the driver, she prepared like a little package for me. She put in some bread, some water, some apples, and they even gave me cash. I think they gave me, I don't know, around about 10 euros in cash. They gave me in what is it, Moroccan... Is it dirham, dinar? I don't remember the currency of Morocco anymore. But yeah, they just gave me cash, and I kind of felt so embarrassed that I was taking money from them, even though I probably, when I work 10 hours, I earn as much as they do in 2 weeks, and I was so embarrassed somehow, but at the same time so grateful and thankful that they helped me. And I was accepting the food and the help and the money they gave me. Yeah, and yeah, I said goodbye to them and said thank you so many times. And yeah, then again, I was standing at the highway, only like 100 kilometers away from Casablanca, and still, I don't know, 200 kilometers away from Marrakesh. I have to look up the numbers. I don't remember correctly how far Casablanca and Marrakesh are apart from each other. So yeah, what I was just doing is, instead of just standing around, I just could walk along the street and still hitchhike, because I didn't feel like standing around. I was annoyed by just standing and not progressing. It got darker and darker during the night. A lot of cars and trucks passed by, and eventually I was lucky again. It was already dark, and I really lost hope, and I thought, man, Nordin, you're so stupid, really. How did you end up in this situation? And yeah, why didn't you ask for help, or yeah, whatever. Well, eventually another guy picked me up. He was just driving home from his job. I think he was working in Casablanca during the week, and he was driving home. He also did not go to Marrakesh directly, but he said again he could take me along the way and drop me at a train station. And at that train station, I could drive with very, very, very little money to Marrakesh. I told him, hey, look, I don't have a lot of money. I almost have no money at all, and I'm completely broke. And yeah, I need to find a solution and how to get to Marrakesh. So yeah, he took me with him, and he dropped me at the train station. He even figured out which train I should go on, helped me buying the ticket. And then, yeah, I was somewhere out of nowhere in Morocco at a train station during the night. And eventually I hopped on the train, and the train took me to Marrakesh. I don't really remember how late it was. Was it 11 o'clock? Was it past 12 o'clock? I don't remember. But eventually I finally made it to Marrakesh, and I ended up at the main railway station in Marrakesh, and I was so happy that I finally reached Marrakesh, even though I was completely disorganized. I didn't know how to get there. I had no money. It was a complete mess, but somehow, with the help of people, the generosity of the citizens of Morocco, I was able to find my way from Casablanca to Marrakesh, and I had more money than I started with. So, and even had food with me, thanks to the people. So yeah, that was my very, very, very first experience with the Moroccans, and how generous they were, and a lot of these situations should follow. I had to figure out a way. First of all, it was getting late, and I needed to sleep. I needed to find a bed, some place to rest badly. But of course, I did not have any money to my name at that moment. So I checked again. I checked the map, and I saw there's some kind of, I don't know, green surface, like a park, or like a, I don't know, like a green natural area inside the city. I found that, and I thought maybe I could pitch my tent there in the darkness, in the dark, and spend the night there. I think it was a olive plantation somewhere around the city, and yeah, I just walked there. I walked everything with my heavy rucksack, and I walked there, and yeah, I eventually finally found that spot, and it was very remote. There were no houses, no cars, no roads nearby. It was a huge green surface, like a garden, near Marrakesh. And I thought, yeah, this is awesome. This is great. I can just pitch my tent here, have some food, drink something, spend the night, and then the next day on Sunday figure out what I can do, And I remember that was so funny. I was walking completely in the dark in that olive plantation, and suddenly there was some kind of big thing moving next to me. and I was looking to the left, and it was a camel that was sitting there or laying there and was looking at me or turning its head to me. And I was so afraid because I didn't expect that somewhere in the center of the city there's a camel laying in the shadow. So yeah, I just realized, oh damn, there's camels laying around here, and I had to laugh so much about myself once I realized, okay, this is nothing serious, it's just a camel chilling. So yeah, I had to laugh so hard about myself that I got scared. And yeah, I was walking around finding a flat surface, a flat spot, and eventually I found that spot, and I pitched my tent, got some food, got some water, and then some rest. And yeah, that was just great. I had a very, very, very good sleep, and I remember I woke up the next morning. I don't remember what time it was exactly. Maybe it was somewhere between 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, maybe earlier. I remember I opened the tent. I was completely in that olive plantation and I was looking out of the tent, and I could already see the high Atlas mountain range to the south. You know, there were a little bit of clouds, but I could see a huge mountain range and the snowy peaks of the high Atlas. And yeah, I was so excited and at the same time intimidated when I saw the mountain range and when I saw how much snow there is, because I did not expect there to be so much snow. But I was prepared for the eventualities. But yeah, I was kind of surprised. First of all, that I was able to see the mountain range, and also that there was so much snow up there. So yeah, and usually, you know, when you get to the mountains and when you're still a beginner and you see that there's a lot of snow up there, and they look intimidating, you know. And yeah, I thought, wow, okay, it's gonna get real. So it was a Sunday, the 30th of November, 2014. Again, I'm in Marakesh. I have no money. This is a Sunday, and there's no chance to get any money. So I realized, okay, I had to wait out that whole Sunday. Just wait there, chill. On Monday, maybe I have the chance to get to an ATM, to a bank, and get some money when the transfer is through. So yeah, again, I was sleeping at that olive plantation one more night. And yeah, I woke up on the 1st of December. It was a Monday. I went to the I think I called my contractor. They sent the money immediately, like some kind of fast money transfer, or they did it already on Friday and it arrived on Monday. I talked to my bank account manager, and she said, yeah, it should be fine, everything now, the money should be on your account and you should be able to withdraw money at an ATM. And yeah, that's what I did. I packed up my tent, everything. I was getting ready. I was walking to the next ATM, and thank God, the money was on my account from the job that I just finished. I don't know how much it was. Maybe it was 2,000 euros, something like that. And I knew, okay, my expedition can go on. It can continue, because otherwise, if that would not have worked, I would have probably have to fly back or find another solution. But thankfully, I had cash now, and yeah, I withdrew some money from the ATM. And yeah, I was hyped. I was excited. Everything went well, even though I was a complete moron, disorganized, and it was a complete mess and chaos again, which was kind of typical for me at that time, and sometimes still is. But yeah, I was able to continue my expedition, my journey. And I remember with the cash now and with my rucksack, I went to the center of Marakesh, where all the taxis are, and I was looking for a taxi or for a ride to Imlil. And the way that works back then in Morocco is there are like central hubs where there are small buses, but usually there are like big taxis, and a big taxi is usually, or back then it was a big Mercedes-Benz from the 70s that was like, I don't know, discarded from Germany, and this is now running as a taxi in Morocco. And on those big taxis, what they did is they squeezed like 4 or 5 people on the back row of the Mercedes, one driver and 2 people on the how do you say, front seat. And so sometimes 6-7 people and a taxi driver in one of these Mercedes, and this was the main way of transportation I used in Morocco. So yeah, I took a taxi like that, a big taxi, and I found someone that was gonna drive to Imlil. On the way to Imlil, you gain more and more elevation, you get higher and higher, you go up to the mountains. And what I was also able to see was there was a lot of floods during that year. In 2014, Morocco had quite intense weather. They said they had like the most intense floods or rain in 2014 for about 70 years. I don't know how true that is, but I could see when we were driving up the mountain to Imlil, a lot of roads were damaged or not even existent anymore because all the water was coming down from the mountains and destroying a lot of roads. Cars were in the rivers, and quite a lot of people died during that year. I think more than 30 or 40 people died in the floods in that year because there was so much rain in November in Morocco, which was quite intense. And as you can imagine, that also meant that there is a lot of snow in the High Atlas, in the Toubkal region. So I arrived in Imlil, and you have to imagine, usually for all those who already been to Morocco or that already were on the Toubkal, it's usually a rocky mountain. There's no snow or ice or glaciers or crevasses or anything. But when I arrived in the November, at the 1st November of 2014, when 1st December, sorry, of 2014, when I arrived in Imlil, you have to imagine it was completely white. It was completely covered in snow, and it was freaking cold. It was a serious winter that year in Morocco, in the High Atlas. And that was quite again intimidating because I'm a beginner. I'm a greenhorn. I'm not an experienced mountaineer, and I'm just trying to gather some skills, and I want to climb my first 4,000er. So I arrived in Imlil, and it's a mountain village, and it's a super beautiful place. I remember right next to where the stop was, that the taxi stop was, where I dropped, there were some guys, like mountain guides. There was a group of 6-7 young Moroccan guys, and they saw me with my rucksack, and they asked me, hey, what do you want to do here? And I said, yeah, I would like to climb the Toubkal, the highest mountain of Morocco. And they laughed at me, and they said, oh, don't you see the snow? It's impossible. You're gonna die up here. No one can climb up there right now. It's impossible to just reach the huts up there, and you cannot even think about climbing or reaching any of those 4,000ers up there. You're definitely gonna die if you dare to go up there. That's what they told me. That was my very, very, very first encounter in Imlil with the mountain guides there. They told me it's impossible and that I'm gonna die if I go up there. So yeah, I told you that I was intimidated by looking at the mountain range, but statements or comments like these from people that I don't know or that don't know me, I usually ignored. Of course, they were going around in my mind, but I usually always ignored whatever people told me, what is possible or what is not possible. I always had the mindset no one is gonna tell me what I can do or what I cannot do or what is possible or what is not possible. I'll go there, I'll try it, and then I figure out what I can do or what I can't do or what is possible or what is not possible. But no one ever in the world is gonna tell me what's possible or not. You know, this was just so engraved in my being. No one ever told me what I can do or cannot do, and I would not listen to these guys at all. I would figure out myself, and if I have to figure out myself that it's not possible, okay, but at least I'm gonna try. I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna get stuck in the snow and up to my hips or anything, you know, or maybe get to a wall that I cannot climb, but at least I'll go there, I'll try it, and I'll not let myself get talked out of what I was intending to do. That was the case back then, and it still is. So yeah. So in Imlil, I had to figure out what I wanted to do and how to go up there, and I needed to gather some information. How do I go up there, and how do I deal with all the snow? You know, I had my tent and everything with me. And I explained you earlier that back then I used to research my trips and my tours on hiker.org, and I did the same with the High Atlas and the Toubkal. So I was reading an article from a member that just climbed the Toubkal, and they told me that there's a nice guy, a very experienced, like a guide, a mountain guide, called Ibram in Imlil. And yeah, that was basically all the information I had. So I was asking around the people, hey, do you know someone with the name Ibrahim or Brahim? And can you tell me where he is and where his hotel is? He has a little hotel or motel. How would you call it? It was called Darmsik. I think it's something like little hotel or little house or something like that. I don't remember it correctly anymore. And yeah, I was looking for this Brahim guy and his hotel where I could stay, and I wanted to ask him about some information, about some details about the mountain and how I could manage to climb up there. So I kept on walking uphill while I was going through the beautiful town of Imlil. Everything was covered in snow when I was there, and eventually I arrived at the little hostel of Brahim. Brahim is a guy, a well-respected mountaineer, a very experienced mountaineer or guide in that region, and he has a little motel or hostel, I don't know how you would call it, on the top of Imlil. And yeah, I finally managed to find his little hostel. And when I arrived at his place, the guy, no, I think there was a woman. She was cleaning the floor of the entrance area right now, and she told me that Brahim is not here at the moment. He is down at the mosque. He's praying, and he will be back soon after his prayers. She invited me to stay, to wait for Brahim, and yeah, that's what I did. I put down my rucksack in the entrance hall of the hostel and kept waiting for Brahim. After a few minutes, he came back from his prayers and he welcomed me to his little hostel. And there was no one there except for me. I was his only guest. And yeah, he asked me what my plans are, what I want to do, and I told him about my plans. I told him that I would like to go up the mountain, that I would like to climb Toubkal, and not just Toubkal, basically every 4,000er that is in the High Atlas I would like to climb. And I was asking him how the circumstances are, how the situation is, how the route is, how hard it is. And yeah, I just asked him everything I wanted to know and I needed, or the information about the mountains and the area. And he explained me everything And when I asked him if it's possible, if it's too much snow, he just answered, there's a lot of snow, of course, and there's also avalanches. But if you're careful, if you're cautious, and if you're a strong guy with a strong mindset, then it's possible to climb all these mountains. It's not as bad as the other guides said. So that was quite positive from Brahim. And yeah, I told him, you know what, Brahim, I'm gonna spend one night here in your little hotel, have some food, have some dinner. I'm gonna prepare my rucksack and my equipment. And if you don't mind, I would like to store some of my equipment down here at your hotel and leave tomorrow morning. And he said, yeah, sure, that's totally fine. He asked me about what time I want to have dinner, what time I want to have breakfast, and he went upstairs with me. He showed me my room, and I basically had the whole entire upper level and even the roof or the balcony just for myself, because I was his only client, his only customer. And got out all my equipment. I was managing and sorting everything out, packed my rucksack, prepared everything. I remember exactly, there was a desk in front of my room, a big desk, and I put down the map, and I was researching the route and how to get up there and where the mountains are and how to find them. And I was also checking the refuge, the hut basically, and from the hut I could then move to the other mountains, one after another. And yeah, I remember how I sat there and was preparing everything, and I was writing down the list or the name of the summits in my little notebook. I was reading Moby Dick at that time, and I used the last page to write down the name of the summits and their altitude, and I wrote down in which order I would like to try which one. And I think I had my stove there, I had the map, I was making notes in there, and it was just a very nice moment and super beautiful and nice memory. And I still, when I look at this picture, I can feel the atmosphere, how it was. I was so excited about what was coming up or going to happen the next few days. And I couldn't wait. But I was, of course, also a little bit afraid. I was still a greenhorn. I didn't know what I was doing. And it would be the first time being completely alone on my own in the snow and trying to climb my first 4,000er. I remember I went to the roof of the hotel and I looked around Imlil, and I had a very nice view over the whole village. And it was just a beautiful and peaceful moment, and I was so happy and excited for the things to come. When the sun went down, it got quite cold, actually very, 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 very cold. Brahim called me down for dinner. I think I had tajin that day, or couscous. No, I think it was tajin, the national dish of Morocco. I had that, and it was super tasty and is super tasty. I can highly recommend going to Morocco and trying the cuisine of Morocco. It's very, very, very delicious. And again, I was in this big room. It had a very oriental atmosphere, and I was sitting there all by myself eating the tajin. And it got later and later, and I went upstairs. I packed my rucksack. Everything was ready to go tomorrow. I remember I was taking a shower, and it was extremely freezing cold. I was shivering and at the whole body, and it was extremely cold. And I got under the blanket. There were 2 or 3 super thick blankets, and after a few minutes I was able to heat up the bed, the blankets, and yeah, I fell asleep and I had a great sleep. And yeah, I was excited for the next day. So the next morning, everything was ready. My rucksack was ready and packed. I cleaned up the room. I took everything downstairs. I stored everything in a corner and told Brahim I will be back in, I don't know, maybe a week or 10 days and get my stuff once I climbed all the mountains. And yeah, I had breakfast that morning. It was still dark. Sunrise was not, the sun didn't go up yet. And yeah, I had my breakfast, and after the breakfast I put on my rucksack and I started walking. Yeah, I just walked up the road. Brahim told me, just go along the road and you will find the way, and that's what I did. I walked up the road, and yeah, after maybe half an hour, yeah, walking along the road, you leave Imlil and you go into the mountains. Slowly the sun was going up, but it was the sky was still gray while I was walking, but I was able to see something and it wasn't dark anymore. And yeah, after a while I went into the valley. I came by the little village called Aremd or Arumd. I don't remember, Arumd or Aremd. It's another little town on the left side of the mountain. Again, super beautiful. I saw children playing on the other side of the valley, and I enjoyed it so much. And I kept on walking, and after a while, there's this huge, super wide valley. It's I think a riverbed, and yeah, you have to cross the riverbed, but everything was in snow. I didn't really find the way. There were no steps because no one was going up there, so it was hard to find the way up the trek because no one was going there. And I got lost a few times because the valley was so wide and I didn't find the route the first time. Also, I had to cross a river, but I didn't know exactly where to cross the river, so I was walking up and down the river to find the most narrow spot so I could get over to the other side. And yeah, just by that, I slowly managed to walk up the path when I was able to find it. Sometimes I had to look at the map and make sure that I'm still on track because I didn't want to accidentally go into the wrong valley. You know, still being a greenhorn, not knowing what I was doing, I was hoping that I am on the right track, that I don't end up in the wrong valley. I remember that I sometimes stopped and I was checking the mountain ranges and I was looking at the map, and I really tried to figure out if I was going right because everything was so hard to read. But every now and then I saw signs that I was on track, that I was on the right way. I sometimes found cairns, I sometimes found like a color mark or anything, and that was a confirmation that I am on track. And I don't know how long it took, but after a few hours I came to, I don't know, like a little village, but it's not actually a village. It's more like stands where people have some kind of huts or shops or whatever it is, but nothing was open. Everything was closed during winter. And yeah, I just remember that it was very, very, very quiet. It was completely all by myself, all alone. And I was walking through the snow, and the snow got higher. With every hour that I was walking, the snow got higher and deeper, and I had to work harder. Yeah, so after a while, when once I was gaining more and more altitude, I remember was at the right side of the mountain face that was still in the shadow, and the snow was not snowy anymore, it was ice. Everything was frozen and it was very, very slippery, and I realized, okay, this is now the first time that I have to put on my crampons, and that is actually what I did. I put down my rucksack, I got my crampons out, and for the first time in my life I attached the crampons to my shoes, all alone, all by myself, and I would walk with crampons for the first time solo on the snow. And yeah, the first time when you put the crampons to your shoes, it's a little bit complicated, and you have a hard time so that they fit good enough and that they are tight enough to the shoe. And I remember, I think sometimes the fixation got loose, or I maybe even lost the crampon once. I don't remember exactly anymore, but I can guarantee you that I almost lost my crampon before because I didn't attach it properly to my shoe. And yeah, by that I was just walking all the time. It was a very, very long way, and it was also very tiring because it's quite a long path. I had a heavy rucksack with me because I had my tent with me, I had food with me, I had the stove and gas and all kinds of stuff with me. So I had a very heavy rucksack. I was walking through the snow, and yeah, it was quite exhausting and heavy. And yeah, the valley was going left and right, and I was wondering, man, when will I finally see the hut, the refuge, where I could either go into the hut and sleep there or put down my tent. After a few hours, eventually I saw a long valley after a long left turn. And I remember somewhere far in the distance I saw something that looked like a house or some kind of brick wall or anything, and I realized, okay, this may be it. It still looked like it was an hour or 2 hours away from me, but I saw something, and I was quite happy that I was finally coming to an end. So yeah, I kept on walking along the valley. The river was not flowing anymore. The sound of water, you couldn't hear it anymore. Everything was frozen completely. It was very cold up there. I don't remember how cold it was, but everything was covered in snow and covered in ice, and everything is extremely quiet when you're up there in the snow and in the ice. On the right side, I saw the remnants of an avalanche. There was a lot of snow masses that probably came down either earlier the night, or maybe the days before. I could see a lot of snow, and I was a little bit scared, but I took a look up to the mountain face, and yeah, as far as I was able to judge, I saw, okay, there's probably not too much of an avalanche risk anymore. So I kept on walking. I was walking over the debris of the last avalanche, and yeah, after, I don't know how long it took, 1 or 1.5 hours, it took ages. It felt like ages. I arrived at the hut. It was called there are 2 huts. Actually, I didn't know that before, or I didn't recognize it, but there are 2 huts. I think one is called the Refuge Mouflons, and one is called Refuge Toubkal, but I don't remember anymore. I have to check. And yeah, I remember when I arrived there, the manager of the hut, you wouldn't call him manager, Hüttenwirt, I don't know how you say that in English. Well, the guy taking care of the hut was outside with his little helper and the cook. All 3 of them, they were outside, and they were moving snow with the shovels. the hut was completely covered in snow. You have to imagine the whole hut is, I don't know, several meters high, and it was completely covered in snow. There was the door, you couldn't just walk into the door. The door was completely covered in snow, and they were like making an aisle through the snow so you could actually go through the door or get into the hut. You could just walk from the snow on the roof. That is how much snow there was. So that must have been at least 2-3 meters of snow piling up, and the hut was completely sunken in the snow. And I remember that looked hilarious. And yeah, so they had quite a lot of snow up there this year. So when I saw all the snow up there, and when I was considering how cold it would be during the night, and that I don't have the necessary isolation for my tent to put between my tent and the snow, I thought, okay, maybe I'm not gonna go hardcore. Maybe I'll go a little bit easy on myself for the first time, and I'm not gonna sleep in my tent, and I'm actually gonna use the infrastructure that is up here, and I'm gonna stay in the hut. Sleep in the hut. That way it should be warm enough. I should be well rested and well fed. And yeah, also it was a little bit scary, and I didn't dare yet to tent outside. And I was quite happy that the hut was there, that the hut was even open, because I didn't even know if the hut was open. I was happy it was there, that it was open, and that they would accept me, that they had a spot for me. And yeah. I think the guy managing the hut, his name was Mohammed, and yeah, he asked me for how long I want to be up there, and I told him, hey man, I don't know how long it's gonna take me. I just wanna climb all the 4,000ers that are around here in the Toubkal region and the High Atlas. And he was looking at me quite surprised, and he said, yeah, okay, sure. Well, yeah, just come in, I'll show you the room, and at the end you're just gonna pay how many nights you've been here, and the food you had, the dinner you had, and all the other stuff that you buy. They had like Coca-Cola up there, and Snickers and biscuits, and all kinds of stuff, and water, of course, which is quite important. So after they showed me my room, and I dropped all my equipment in the dormitory, I went down to, well, what could you call it? I guess you call it the living room. It was basically like the only room in the whole hut that was heated. It had an oven, and yeah, everything else was super cold. And this single room with the oven in it was the only warm spot where you could actually hang out for a while. And yeah, I remember I dropped all my stuff in the dorm. I went down to the room with the oven, and this is also the dining room. I remember I wanted to just look out of the window, but the window was completely covered up with snow. You couldn't even look out of the window. It was completely white. And I think there was no one there except for me. I don't remember exactly anymore, but maybe I was alone, or maybe there was one more guy sitting up there, but that was it. And yeah, I was a little bit pessimistic if it was possible to climb the mountain, but I thought I'll just give it a try. So I was sitting in that dining room. They activated the oven, or they lit the fire basically, and I was waiting there and studying the map. And after a while, I remember a group of guys came back, and I asked them what they were up to, what they did, and they told me, yeah, we wanted to try to climb Toubkal today, but it was not possible. It was too much snow, so we had to turn around. So I think there was a group of 3 or 4 guys. They did manage to reach the summit, and they quit. They came down. They would spend one more night, and then they would go down to Imlil the next day. That was a little bit, yeah, how would I describe it? discouraging. Do you say discouraging? I don't know. So after a few minutes, another guy came back into the room, and he was a young guy from Poland, and his name was Michal. And I asked him, hey, what have you been up to? And he said, yeah, I just managed to go on Toubkal. I was just standing on the summit of Toubkal, and I just came back, and I managed to reach the summit, and it was super windy, it was super cold, everything was in snow, the snow was so high. And yeah, the guy was super happy, but he managed to climb Toubkal. And this guy, Michal, actually, he would later become one of my best friends and my climbing buddy, because I was so excited to hear from Michal that he was able to climb Toubkal. So that gave me a lot of hope and courage that I can also do it, and that I can follow his example, and that it is possible to reach the summit in this year, even though there's a lot of snow. He just did it. He just showed me that it's possible, and I thought, okay, if this guy did it, I'll definitely try it tomorrow and give it my best. So yeah, I was very, 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 very excited to hear and to see that Michal was able to reach the summit. So yeah, and Michal, he was from Poland. He lives in the UK, and I remember his wife was down in Marakesh. She was spending the time there, and he was in the mountains. And yeah, I remember we had a great conversation. We liked each other immediately, and we had so much in common right away. And I asked him how long he will be up here, and he told me, yeah, I want to climb all the 4,000ers as well up here, and tomorrow I'm gonna climb this and this and that mountain. And I had to laugh so hard. Yeah, the guy was just as crazy as me. He was also a solo climber, and he also didn't care about the circumstances, and he just tried his best, and wanted to climb as many 4,000ers here in the high Atlas as I wanted to. And obviously both of us, we became friends, and it wouldn't be the last time that we met. So I got ready. I prepared everything for summit day. I had dinner, I had food, I went to bed, and yeah, I was setting my alarm clock for the next morning. I think it was somewhere around 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning, because on summit day you have to wake up early, you have to start early in order to reach the summit early, not to get into bad weather. So I would get a first feeling of mountaineering and how it is to wake up early in the morning at 3 or 4 a.m. when it's still dark, going out with the headlamp, and have a real mountaineering experience. The next morning I heard my alarm, and it's always the same feeling. You are in that warm blanket, you are safe, everything is controlled environment, and out there it's dark, it's cold, it's icy, there's snow, there's danger, there is a lot of risk involved, and there's like two emotions inside of you every morning, every summit day. You are kind of excited for the challenge that is coming up, and you are ready to tackle it and try your best. And also there's another emotion that tells you, man, I don't want to risk anything. I don't want to go out in the dark. I don't want to go out in the cold. I'm afraid. And I'd rather just turn around and quit everything. These are sometimes the two emotions that you have in the morning of a summit day. But eventually you wake up, you get ready, you pack your rucksack, you brush your teeth, you have your breakfast, you're freezing cold, you're shivering, and okay, better start walking, better start moving, else it's getting even colder and colder every minute, and let's just go out there and start walking. And that's what I did. I put on my rucksack, I put on my headlamp, put on my crampons, and yeah, I went out of the hut. It was completely dark and silent, and I didn't really know where I was going. Everything was dark and everything was full of snow, and I had no clue where I was going. I was looking up to the side where I knew that the mountain would be, the summit would be, and I already saw a few lights moving up the summit or the mountain, and I thought, okay, I can probably follow these lights and that way find the way until the sun comes up. And that's what I did. I remember there was so many thoughts. It was the first time for me walking alone in the snow, in the dark, all by myself, and I was kinda afraid, but not really afraid. It's like I have a lot of adrenaline in my system, and I'm focusing on the goal, on the target, on the task, and I'm quite focused at what I'm doing. But I also know that I'm always a little bit intimidated, or was intimidated. But yeah, I just kept on going, one step after another, and trying to move up the way. And luckily, I was able to follow the steps of the group, and that way find the way in the dark. After a while, I reached the group. They were fighting through the snow. And I reached the group. I think they were a group of 3 or 4 people. I don't remember anymore. They were with a guide, a guide from Imlil, guided the guys up there, and they were fighting through the snow. And I remember they looked back at me and saw me, and they were a little bit surprised that I was able to catch up. And they asked me, "Hey man, you look still strong. Do you mind going in front for a little bit and making the way, like walking and working through the snow, because the snow is so high. And what you can do is you can rotate the front guy, the first guy in the row that has to work through the snow, and that way everyone else has time to recover. The first one is the one that is working very, very hard to get through the snow. He's basically laying and preparing the track for everyone else, and the others can follow his footsteps and have an easier time when they follow him. And they were all quite exhausted, and I was still feeling strong because they did all the work. And I said, sure, of course, I still feel good, I still feel strong, and I can go ahead for a while. And that's what I did. I went to the front of the group, and I just plowed through the snow as hard as I could. I remember, it was 3,500 meters. I didn't have a lot of acclimatization, and we were going up constantly. Toubkal is about 4,167 meters high. And yeah, I was fighting my way up there, and I remember it was so exhausting, but at the same time, I just wanted to fight myself through the snow, and I didn't want to bow down. I didn't want to, I just didn't want to let down, and I was fighting myself through the snow all the time, constantly, until I realized, wow, this is super, super, super exhausting. I cannot do this forever. And I had to admit that I'm not as strong as I thought I would be. And I don't know for how long I was leading the group. Maybe it was half an hour, maybe it was an hour, maybe it was less. I don't remember anymore. But after a while, I turned around and asked, hey, someone else feeling good and strong to take the lead again. I need to rest. I need to relax a little bit, and that's what we did. Someone else went in front and was working through the snow, and it was my time to relax. I just remember that it was super, super, super hard. It was super exhausting. It was very, very cold. I had bad equipment, and I really, really, really had to work hard for this summit. And eventually, the sun came up, and I tried my best to fight my way up there. Even though it was quite hard and exhausting, it was the first time getting close to 4,000 meters, and I was gasping for air. I felt so weak. It was so extremely cold, but I kept on going because I wanted to reach the summit so bad. I remember you come up to a ridge. I think it's probably already at 4,000 meters. The sun was just about to come up, or the sunrise just happened. And I remember I was standing at this ridge. To the left side, I could look over to the summit of Toubkal. It looked like it was only like 1.5 or 2 hours away from me, and I was looking towards the southwest, I guess, and I had one of the most beautiful views I ever saw in my entire life until up to that moment. Just below me was the rest of the high Atlas mountain range. The clouds was covering everything. The whole surface where it was covered by the clouds, and I was standing above the clouds, and I don't know, it looked like heaven, or it looked like a sea of clouds below me. And to the very, very, very far south, you could probably see or recognize the Sahara Desert. And I remember I was standing there, and it was such a beautiful and emotional moment. And I was so happy that I managed to reach this ridge, and that I saw the summit already, and that I was confident that I would be able to reach the summit. It wouldn't be much longer and I would be at the summit. But I remember I was standing up there, and this view, it was so beautiful. It was the most beautiful thing I've seen in my life until that point. And I couldn't help it, but I teared up completely. I was like crying. I think I was not crying like in sorrow or weeping, but there were tears running down my face, my cheeks. And I couldn't stop crying, there were so many tears. My whole eyes, my whole face was completely wet because of the tears, because I was so amazed. It was so astonishing how beautiful nature is, and I was so overwhelmed by the fact that I was able to fight my way up there, that I was standing up there. And I remember I was so happy, and because of being so happy, I just teared up, and I won't forget this moment forever in my entire life, because it was such a beautiful moment. It was such a beautiful atmosphere, and yeah, it was the first time that I experienced nature, the beauty of nature in this form. So after I soaked in this moment and this view, I looked over to the summit, and I thought, okay, I'm just gonna keep on walking. I wanna reach the summit now, and that's what I did. I followed the ridge. It looked a little bit exposed. It was like it was very steep to the right side of the ridge, so I had to make sure to stay on the left side of the ridge. But the left side was also quite steep, and you had to go around the rocks and do a little bit of scrambling. Everything was completely covered in snow, and the wind was blowing so strong, so the snow was very hard and frozen up there. It wasn't like you're in deep snow anymore and you had to fight through the snow. No, you were like walking on frozen snow. And I moved along the ridge, and I think it took an hour maybe, and after a while I finally reached the summit. My hands were completely cold. I was freezing. I was shaking at my whole body, but I managed to reach the summit all by myself. When I reached the summit, the other group, the guys that were going with me that day, they were already there at the summit, and they were celebrating already. And yeah, I reached the summit, and I was so happy. Again, the view was so beautiful, it was so phenomenal, and I couldn't believe and I couldn't understand what just happened and what I just did. And yeah, I was standing on my first 4,000er ever. I was basically solo, even though I was not completely solo, but for me it was like my first expedition abroad, solo in the snow, in the ice, even though it's not like glaciers like in the Alps, but it was my first real 4,000er, and a good first test and a good first mountain to test my skills and to try and to figure out what I've learned and what I can do, and to see actually how hard it is and how this element works. Yeah, that was my very, very, very first 4,000er I climbed, and it was the Jbel Toubkal, 4,167 meters high, I think. And I was so happy, I was so excited, I couldn't believe it that I managed it, because I remember when as I just explained, when I came to Morocco, everything was so chaotic, my financial situation and everything. I wasn't even sure if I was even able to go to Morocco, if I was even able to reach Imlil, or with the snow and the weather, if I was even able to go up there. But in the end, you know, the final result, because of consistency and strong will, I managed to stand at the summit, you know, and that was just rewarding, and I felt extremely happy that I was able to accomplish this, even though it was not easy to reach the summit. So after celebrating a few minutes, maybe it was like 20 minutes at the summit, it was extremely cold up there. After celebrating, I ran down again to the hut, and I remember I met Michael in the hut. He also just arrived, and I asked him, "Hey Michael, what have you been up to? What were you doing?" And he told me, "Hey man, I was on this summit. There were 2 more 4,000ers close by, and yeah, I did that. And how was your Toubkal going today?" And I said, "Yeah man, I managed to reach the summit," and we were so happy. I was happy for him, and he was happy for me, and we celebrated the whole situation. We celebrated each other, and we were both so happy and so proud on ourselves that we managed to be here and that we were able to climb these mountains solo or by ourselves. So we both had the idea to team up the next day, because I told him also I want to climb all the 4,000ers that are around, and he also wanted to climb more 4,000ers, but he was running out of time. So I thought, okay, you know what? We should team up and climb a few 4,000ers together before you have to go down again. And after you go down, then I can go alone and climb the other 4,000ers up here. And this is what we actually ended up doing. So we checked the map, we looked at the map, we found a few more 4,000ers that we wanted to climb. And we made a plan, and we researched everything and prepared everything, and got ready to climb even more 4,000ers. But this story I will tell the next time. All right, ending the video here. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a little bit long this time, but it was such a nice memory. It was such a beautiful moment, such a great experience, and that's why I thought I tell this story in detail, because I love to think about it. I love to remember the situation and this little adventure. And hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what your first 4000er was. If you feel the same, if you also want to climb 4000er mountains, if you also want to experience the snow and the ice, or maybe you're afraid of it, or you think, nah, you just like watching the mountains, but you don't feel like climbing them yourself. All right, guys. So tomorrow I'll continue the story, and see you next time.